knowing other people and being known by them. That requires openness and transparency. You're loving and receiving love. You're serving and being served. You're celebrating, encouraging, speaking into other people's lives and being celebrated. And that was my turn and Sally's turn, big time, a couple of Sundays ago, to be celebrated. Wow. Big time. So that was awesome. Thank you very much for that. This is my first actual chance to be standing up here after that big event. So also wanted to announce today that someone who's been serving our church for probably 8 years, is it? 7 years. There you go. 7 years. Will be stepping down from that leadership role, and that's Teresa Tay. In the new year, will be stepping down from the role as prayer coordinator of our church. And this is only an announcement so that you can get used to that transition, because she'll be handing over to Maggie Stenhouse in the new year. And so I'm letting you know now, this isn't the official time to be honouring Teresa for those 7 years of hard input in building our prayer ministry, but just so when you see Teresa starting to hand on the baton to Maggie, you'll understand why you see her sort of stepping back and letting Maggie come forward. Is Maggie still here, or is she gone? So I think it's important for you to recognise Maggie. You should know who Teresa is. So if you could please stand, Maggie. That's great. And so as I say, we'll be doing all the honouring and launching out at a future time. Just wanted to let you know too that we had a big youth rally here on Friday night, and 170 young people came forward in response to the altar call to get right with God. So, wow, that's huge. I mean, 170, so I think young lives like that touched. You know, we are really living and witnessing a phenomenon. You know, there's not many nations in the world that are seeing revival amongst their young people like Australia is right now. And people are getting in planes and flying to our nation to just see what's going on. Parts of Europe where it's so dead and dark, and other nations of the world where their churches are empty of young people. And yet we're seeing across our nations something unique going on with youth coming to Jesus Christ. And not just that, but being on fire for God. And, you know, if you've always sort of read about stuff of history that happened and wish you'd been there, well, actually, you know what it feels like? It feels like what you're feeling now. This is it. They're going to write about what's going on in Australia right now in years to come. Did you realise that? No, you didn't, did you? So you needed me to tell you. And you say, oh, I wonder what it felt like. It felt like Pastor David's getting up and saying, you know, 170 people gave their hearts to Jesus. And that's what it felt like. All right. That's great, isn't it? I think I've done all that. I want to speak from down here this morning, so I'm going to get someone to give me a hand. Okay. Oh, all right, pass the tune. Yeah, we got it. Steve was there just as a safety net, just in case I tripped on my high heels as I was coming down there. No, I don't have high heels. The reason why I want to talk from down here is because of what I want to say. And I know it's very precious to God, and I know that it's also something I want to say from the context of a fellow pilgrim. Not as somebody up there. Not that by preaching up there it's always looking down, but I don't know, the posture of heart that I felt I needed to take needed to be reflected by the fact that I'm talking down here, because of where I'm journeying through some things, and I want to speak to them in the context of us being together, and that is suffering. Did you know your suffering is something incredibly precious to God? So precious because of what it means, what it expresses from your heart. And it's not something we talk much about, particularly in Pentecostal churches. And in fact, hopefully we're a bit better at it than most, but most Pentecostal churches are uncomfortable with suffering. They can't work out how it fits into their doctrinal theology. In our zeal to restore the faith message to the body of Christ, which I am certainly a part of, I think any truth taken to an extreme can lead to an untruth. So in our zeal to restore some things, we swing a little bit too far and we lose a sense of equilibrium, because trials, temptations, offences, carrying your cross for Jesus Christ is certainly a part of what it is to be a believer. How am I going with so far? You with me? So I don't want you to get all churchy on me. I want you to be just God's people with me, saying, yeah, you know what? I'm so glad somebody's talking about this. Because when we don't, and we are going through stuff, we suddenly want to be secretive about it. We want to hide it. Instead of drawing community around us, we think suddenly we're broken out in leprosy. And we need to isolate ourselves. So as a community, we really need to understand what it is to suffer and how precious that is to God. And I'll be drawing some analogies about that. But I have gone through things, and my testimony, if you've been with me here for the last 10 years, has sort of been snippets here and there. But I have been through stuff in my upbringing. I grew up in rather a dysfunctional home. My father was a drunk. We never knew from one day to the next what was going to happen. There was incredible instability in the home. At times my mother would leave, she would come back. And you imagine growing up in a home like that, where you're not sure how drunk Dad's going to be when he comes home tonight. And just will he be violent and all these things. So incredible instability in a young person's heart. And I've grown up into an adult, not understanding some of those things that were put into me in those times, and not to a large degree given an environment where I could find healing, because from there I moved to a church setting where by and large you weren't supposed to talk about those things because, well, they didn't quite fit into this perfect picture of what it is now to be happy and clappy in Jesus. And still here I am working through some pain. Have I got anybody else here? No one else? Okay. I'm talking to myself in the name of the Lord. Okay. So, I have had a huge amount of healing and am being healed. That's called salvation. The word salvation means wholeness. If you're experiencing wholeness, you're experiencing God's salvation. And it's not a momentary thing where you come onto an altar call. It's meant to be an ongoing thing where we are being made whole for a purpose. And surprise, surprise, even though I'm standing here today and having to wrestle through to the point where I'm even going to say some of the things I've going to say, that is, I've had to admit that some of the most shaping moments in my life have not been the mountaintops. They've been the valleys. The mountaintops are great. I want them. I need them. Thank God it's not a perpetual valley. But where the stuff of my character was tested and the impurities of my integrity and attitude of heart was really revealed to a